yafe hayom, Shabbat shalom. Ma yafe hayom, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Boikala, 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 boikala. Boikala, 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 boikala. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, Pinei Shabbat nikabela.
Well, good evening, Shabbat Shalom, and welcome to our service. You're the hardy ones that chose to come out this evening. We were driving, we said, oh, you look at the rain and someone will say, I don't know, it's raining, maybe we should stay home. But not any of you, so we're appreciative. And from now until next summer, we'll be streaming either live as we are, or if we're not here, and there'll be a couple weeks where we're not here, it'll be recorded as we have done during the COVID time. So there will always be a Friday night service, and it just happens that this one, we've got a lot of guests out there, and we'll see how many are watching us, which is wonderful. We're going to begin with the lighting of the candles, page 2. Is there someone who would like to come up and light candles for us? Any volunteers? Okay, thank you. Wow. Dip it in the wine.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Thank you.
Shabbat shalom.
May the Shabbat candles that we now light inspire us to see justly and gently, to look honestly and with kindness, and to see what's holy in each other. So we turn in our prayer books to page 4, bottom of the page, Hinei Ma Tov, how good and pleasant it is to be together.
It is so wonderful that we are all here together. So take just a moment to say Shabbat Shalom, or to introduce yourself to someone who's kind of sitting nearby, or wave to them. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shavet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shavet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shavet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shavet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shavet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shavet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shavet achim gam yachad. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. יאללה לי, יאללה לה 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 לה, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. יאללה לי, יאללה לה 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 לה, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
This was such a multi-use chapel today. We had a bar mitzvah rehearsal for a bar mitzvah that's taking place in 2 weeks, because we had the rehearsal earlier for the one that's taking place tomorrow. But we had to get out of here by 2 for a Protestant wedding rehearsal, and then couldn't sit up tonight until 5 because the Archbishop had a Catholic wedding rehearsal. So that's why we don't pass bread around, because otherwise it'd be a mess for these 2 weddings tomorrow. But it's wonderful that we can share this and use the chapel with so many.
Turn to page 6.
And you'd like to do?
Yes, we'll do Ki Shmera Shabbat on page 6.
On ukulele.
On ukulele. Why not?
Okay. A little Hawaiian feeling here. Page 6 at the top of the page.
Let's see if I know how to play ukulele. We'll find out. Ki Shmera Shabbat El Yishmereni, Ki Shmera Shabbat El Yishmereni, Oti leomeat beino uveini, Oti leomeat beino uveini.
I like that.
Ki Shmera Shabbat El Yishmereni, Ki Shmera Shabbat El Yishmereni,
Thank you.
leomeat beino uveini, Oti leomeat beino uveini.
Do we think anyone in Houston cares what we were doing with this particular? Okay.
You can send them a link to the YouTube, because
Right.
it's all being live cast right now too.
Right. Bottom of page 8, let's continue responsively with our family prayer. May we never take for granted the gift of Shabbat as we sit nestled in the Rocky Mountains, sharing this humble moment with family and friends. May the satisfaction of celebrating Shabbat hearten our spirits. Let Shabbat peace bring quiet to our souls. Allow this time set aside for song and prayer to bring us closer together in thoughts and deeds. Let this space we share become our place of devotion, glowing with reverence and filled with our traditions. May the end of this week encourage us to examine our actions and let us look ahead toward the new week to be worthy of all of God's blessings. The top of page 8 as we join together and welcome the angels of peace. Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruchuni L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzitchem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, Baruch Hu.
Upon arriving in Jerusalem, the pilgrims lifted their eyes to the mountains, saw the Temple Mount, and said, Esa einai, I lift my eyes to the mountains, from where does my help come? And then responsively, the thousands of pilgrims would answer, my help comes from God, maker of heaven and earth. We join together, page 12, at the top of the page, Esa einai.
Esa einai el harim, me'ayin yavo Ezri. Esa einai el harim, me'ayin yavo Ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai, Oseh shamayim va'aretz. Ezri me'im Adonai, Oseh shamayim va'aretz. Esa einai el harim, me'ayin yavo Ezri. Esa einai el harim, me'ayin yavo Ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai, Oseh shamayim va'aretz. Ezri me'im Adonai, Oseh shamayim va'aretz.
What I found interesting with many of our songs and our prayers is how it translates between Ashkenazic tune, Sephardic tune, and how they blend together no matter where they were written. When we look at Lecha Dodi, written in the 16th century in Sfat, it was the world of mysticism, and they were talking about a world where Shlomo Alkabetz, who wrote the particular poem, said that we're going to see the Sabbath as a bride. And I've heard it now in 3 tunes. We even had Yemenite at one time. So we have so many different tunes, but we'll do the traditional tune.
The Vail traditional?
Sure, of course.
Okay.
That's fine.
Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela. 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 Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Hishmi'anu el ha'miyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shemo tiferet v'litchila. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nilcha, ki hi mekor ha'miracha, mirosh mikedem nisucha. Sof ma'aseh b'machsheva tchila. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela. Mikdash melech ir melucha, kumitzi mitoch ha'afecha, Rav l'shevet be'emek halacha, Vehu yachmol alaychem. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela.
The bottom of page 18, we rise, face the rear of the sanctuary as we greet the Sabbath bride.
Boi v'shalom ateret bala, Gam b'simcha u'v'tzahala, Toch emunei am segula. Boi chala, la 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 la. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala,
Pene Pene Shabbat Nikabela.
Lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala. Pene pene Shabbat nikabela la 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 la. Lecha dodi, likrat kala. Pene pene Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi, likrat kala. Pene pene Shabbat nikabela.
May be seated.
You know why that's the B'nai Vail traditional Lecha dodi?
Because Craig Taubman wrote it?
Not just because Craig Taubman wrote it, though he loves this story also, but because that song, that melody is the reason that I'm at B'nai Vail.
That's right. 7 years
So it
ago.
is the B'nai Vail traditional.
Michelle
8 years ago.
8 years ago.
I came here and sang that
She said,
melody.
no, it's not that simple. She came up and said, I sing a little. So and I'm up here singing alone, and you do not want to hear me singing alone. So I said, well, why don't you just do one of our songs?
And that's what I did.
And all of a sudden.
That Lecha dodi. Like a couple minutes later, yeah.
Well, CJ, of blessed memory, took duct tape and threw her in the trunk and said, you're not leaving. So that's how we're here. Well, that's a good transition to Psalm 92, one of our oldest prayers and songs. It's a psalm that they say was recited first in the temple in Jerusalem, the first temple in Jerusalem. Psalm 92, we'll continue at the bottom of page 20, Tzadika Tamar.
Tzadika Tamar yifrach ke'eres bavanon isken shetulim beveit Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu od yenuvun beseva deshenim vera'ananim yihiu lehagi ki yashar Adonai Suri Melo Alatabo.
Well, the new year is behind us, and we think about all that we can look forward to in this new year of health and all those things that it'll start with just for today. So we turn our prayer books to page 23, and to lead us, is there someone who hasn't read this for us before? Page 23, responsible? One of your... Oh, you... Thank you. You just read and we'll read the other parts.
Just for today.
You have to put it right up to you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just for today, I will live one day only, forgetting yesterday and tomorrow, and not trying to solve the whole problem of life at once.
Just for today, I will be unafraid of life and death, unafraid to enjoy the beautiful and be happy. People are as happy as they make up their minds to be.
Just for today, I will adjust myself to what is, and not try to adjust everything to suit me. If I cannot have what I like, I will try to like what I have.
Just for today, I'll be agreeable, cheerful, charitable, do my best to praise people for what they can do, and not criticize them for what they cannot do. And if I find fault, I'll forgive it and forget it. I'll try not to improve nor regulate anybody except myself.
Just for today, I will have a plan. I may not always follow it exactly, but I will have one. It will save me from worry, hurry, and indecision.
Just for today, I will get people off my nerves and not get on theirs. I'll appreciate them for what they do and what they are.
Just for today, I will not show it if my feelings are hurt.
Just for today, I'll find a little time for quiet, to relax, to realize what life is and can be. Time to think about God and get a better perspective of myself.
Just for today, I will look at life with fresh eyes and discover the wonder of it. I will know that as I give to the world, so the world will give to me.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Page 24, we rise for our call to worship. Join with the cantor in the Baruch Hu.
Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la la la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Vael. HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Vael. You may be seated. Middle of page 28, we certainly, looking at the colors and the little bit of sprinkling of snow on the mountaintops. Page 28, God's wondrous creations. As we join together on this Shabbat Eve, we take in the greatness of God's creations. As the snow melts from the mountain peaks on high, let our worries of the week flow away. And as the mountain springs give forth fresh water, let our souls feel refreshed. Creeks join streams and become the great rivers. Let our faith and love grow stronger. And as we stand in awe of the great beauty of the Rocky Mountains, let our faith in God increase and renew. And let this Shabbat be a time of peace. The top of page 28, Ahavat Olam, we join together.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Avta, Amcha Avta. Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu lemadeta, otanu lemadeta. Al Cain Adonai Eloheinu b'shachbenu, uvkumenu nasiach b'chukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, uvahem negei yomam v'layla, negei yomam v'layla, ve'ahavatcha al tasir, mimeinu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev amo Yisrael, Ohev amo Yisrael.
Do we have some Shema people?
We do. Mark and Ella and Ziva and Maya and Lila, whoever's here, I don't know. Ziva, Mark and Ella and Ziva are going to lead us in the Shema. And is there a child there next to you? No. Okay. Ziva and Mark.
It's
and Ella
good to
can-
see you back with us again. Welcome, all three of you.
Yisrael, Adonai, Eloheinu, Adonai, Echad.
know the rest?
It'll be a half, not yet.
Okay.
We'll get there.
Let's join together.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
One of the challenges that we always have is everyone here has grown up somewhere else. No one say they grew up at this congregation or that sort of. Karen and I are probably the only two that grew up at Cherith Israel in Dallas. So we have similar tunes. But Don, you said this is your last week, and if I get this song wrong, you don't come back next summer. So, okay, that's the Houston tune from Beth Yeshurun, Houston. Page 32 in the middle of the page.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף
And certainly if you come tomorrow morning for the bar mitzvah, it's a totally different tune with all the dancing and the music that goes with that. Well, Hashkivenu, it's a beautiful prayer. It says, may we feel protected under the shadow of your wings. For blessed are you, God, and the shelter of peace spreads over us, over all people, and over Jerusalem. Page 34, we'll join together.
Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, Mehamidenu Malkeinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, Mehamidenu Malkeinu l'chaim. Ushmor tzeiteinu, uvoeinu, lechaim u'shalom, me'ata ve'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, Mehamidenu Malkeinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, Mehamidenu Malkeinu l'chaim.
I like that. That actually goes well together. We should all be wearing aloha shirts or something. It's beautiful. Thank you. Well, on page 36 at the bottom of the page, taken from the book of Exodus, in 6 days the Lord created the heavens and the earth. 7th day he ceased from his work and rested. We'll join together. Vishamru.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת. לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת שבת וינף השבת, שבת וינף שבת, שבת וינף.
The Birkat HaGomel prayer expresses our gratitude for the miracle of healing of full restoration of one's health to family and friends, and full restoration to life itself. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam hagomel l'chayavim tovot sheg gimalani kol tov. May God, who has bestowed kindness upon us, continue to bestow every goodness upon each of us and restore our health. But there are those in our community and our families that are in need of healing of body, mind, or spirit. If you have a person in your life in need of healing, please feel free in just a moment to share their name aloud as we join together. Page 38, Misha Berach.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen.
We keep in our prayers Gail Balin, Sue Beiser, Linda Cullen, Lynn Deutschman, Ira Drescher, Jane Friedman, Deborah Goldman, Cliff Goldman, Randy Goldman, and Donald Jaffe, Warren Janowitz, Mary Sue Katz, Herman Keek, Ryan Kushner, Judith Landau, Pam Lessing, Renee Myers, Pedro Prince, and Stephen Reese, Roberta Scheller, Sam Schwartz, Deb Shea, Bill Silvers, Patty Silverstein, Bert Solomon, Dina Stempler, Liz Stern, Alan Tenenbaum, Tammy Trow, Mickey Winokur, and David Freed. Thank you.
Misha Berach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We'll turn to page 40 in our prayer books and rise and continue with the Reader's Kaddish.
Yitkada ve'yitkadash shemei Rabba.
Amen.
Be'alma divra kirutei ve'amlich malchutei.
B'chayechon v'yomechon u'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael. Bagala, bagala, uvizman kariv.
Ve'imeru.
Amen. Yesh me Rabba mivarach, le'alam ulameho maya, yitbarach.
Yitbarach ve'ishtabach. Yitpar v'yitrama v'yidnaseh. V'yitador v'yitaleh v'yitalal. Shemei dekutsha.
Rechu.
Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata.
Tushbechata v'nechemata, damiram bialma. Amen. Polished word, and it allows God's voice to be heard and tears and doubt to tumble out. We continue page 42 at the top of the page with Adonai Svatai, and then silently through page 57.
Adonai Svatai Tiftach V'yagid Teilatecha Adonai Svatai Tiftach V'yagid Teilatecha. Oh, eternal God, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your glory. Oh, eternal God, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your glory. Adonai Svatai Tiftach V'yagid Teilatecha Adonai Svatai Tiftach V'yagid Teilatecha.
May be seated when you've completed the Amidah. Taken from the book of Psalms, may the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, O God, as we continue page 56, middle of the page.
Yehiyu le'ratzon imrefi behegyon libi lefanecha Adonai.
Over the years, I've had so many people come up to me and say, I think I should just start reading the Bible. We've talked about it just a few weeks ago. And I explained how it's not something to be read, but it's something to be studied. Because when you go through the stories of the Bible, especially the Torah, they need an explanation. And that's where the rabbis come in with not only commentary, but midrash. And we're beginning with Breshit, which any bar mitzvah boy would love to have that because it begins at the very beginning of all the stories that we know and we think we know mostly about. But the Talmud has so many commentaries about this as well. And in the opening chapters of the Torah, they actually say that not all the events are probably real. The rabbis didn't discuss whether the world was created in 6 days of a 24-hour day and then Shabbat, or was there possibly a process of evolution spanning thousands of millennia? Well, today the scholars of the Talmud responded to the question of, is it creation or is it evolution? And with a shrug, and they gave a definitive response, they said, perhaps both. We then go on to the story of the first brothers in world history, Cain and Abel. We think we know a lot about this story, but imagine if you're picking up a local newspaper and you're seeing the headline that says man murders 1/4 of the world's population, because there were only 4 people living. It isn't clear whether Cain deliberately set out to commit murder or was the death of Abel an accident resulting then from rage. Now the events leading up to the attack of Abel, I think they're revealing because we have the 2 brothers and they brought an offering to God. Cain, he was the farmer and he brought the fruit of the soil. Abel, we all know, was the shepherd, and he brought what's known as the choicest of his flock. But for whatever reason, and there's no explanation, the offering by Abel was accepted, and the offering by Cain was rejected. So Cain reacted in the only way that's described. He reacted, and he was filled with anger. But instead of debating with God why God took one over the other, why his offering was rejected, he turns to his brother Abel, strikes him, and kills him. Now, did Cain actually intend to kill Abel? Did Cain even know that striking his brother would result in his brother's death? Did Cain tell Abel how disappointed he was? There was no debate, there was no discussion, it just happens. Was Abel not sympathetic to what God chose one over the other, and Abel with the smug was about his offering because it was pleasing to God but not to the other? Well, Cain was disappointed. He was angry with Abel's reaction, and he struck out in anger. But when Abel fell, we don't know this, but the commentary then says that Cain was astonished, that he couldn't comprehend why is Abel laying there so long and he was so still. He wondered why wasn't able to get up again. So Cain was aware that something had happened, but beyond anything he experienced before. So what did it all mean? Abel's motionless body is on the ground. He's not moving, and he's not speaking. So this is why it's tough just to say, well, just read the book of Genesis, because the commentators come in. This is the rabbis of the Midrash, and what they do is they explain around the things that are not explained. And they say, perhaps Cain had seen sheep that had died, but never a real person. So the realization was that maybe if the sheep died, life had also been removed from Abel. Now, even if this is a correct account of how the first murder took place, it doesn't lessen the tragedy, and it doesn't even increase it. How often since have we heard the plea, but I didn't mean to do it? And that's the story of Cain, the story of the destructive power of anger, which can lead an individual to commit murder, even before he knows what murder is. So the destructive power of anger, I was once reading on a side note about how they dealt with a form of yelling and anger, and it actually took place in the Solomon Islands. The Solomon Islands are in the South Pacific, and there were villagers that practiced this unique form of logging. Now, if the tree is too large to be felled with an axe, they thought the natives would cut it down by yelling at it in anger. So the woodsmen that they chose had very special powers, and they would walk up to the tree at dawn, and they'd suddenly start screaming at the tree at the top of their lungs. They would continue screaming, we're told, for 30 days until the tree would die and then fall over. The theory was that hollering and screaming kills the spirit of the tree. So then when we tie this into, is a great medieval Jewish philosopher, Chasdei Kreskas, and he says, anger begins with madness, but it always ends with regret. The one who loses one's temper is also the one who loses. And that's what we learned from Cain and Abel. Outside of just reading the text, you have to get into some of the commentary. I don't have any notes in front of me. Janet, when is the book club for 14 October, and the book is The Convert, and it's not a modern day book, but so it's definitely not modern day. But it's an amazing story, and we have a number of people signed up. It's by Zoom for those that want to be joining with us, and that's one of our big events. Tomorrow, we're for Sunday school.
2 days.
2 days. Oh, tomorrow's. I don't want.
Tomorrow, though, join us for Sam Simon's bar mitzvah at 9:30 and talking about that, the lucky bar mitzvah boy that gets beret sheet. We just rolled our Torah back to the lucky bar mitzvah boy, the less lucky person holding up the Torah that has the entire Torah in one hand after having it all rolled back. But come hear Sam chant Bereshit tomorrow at 9:30. And yes, Seth will be reading a little bit of Torah tomorrow morning as well. The following weekend we have Luke Geller's bar mitzvah, and next Friday evening you can join us for an extended oneg from Sauce on the Creek before services. And Luke's bar mitzvah the following date at 9:30 a.m. Join us for Sunday school if
And
you'd
tomorrow,
like.
I was going to take out a Torah tonight, but then I thought we don't all really want to gather around it while I'm unrolling it. But we will for the kids, because it's Simchas Torah was just last week, and we want to show them what a Torah looks like. So we'll be unrolling it, and they get to look at how the letters were formed and how it's sewn together, and what the parchment looks like, and some of the details that possibly they've never seen before. That'll be a little bit of our Simchas Torah celebration. And then next summer, we'll be doing it again here, where we'll be dedicating a brand new Torah that, not brand new, it's 250 years old, but it's new to us. And it's from Yemen. And it's going to take me about a year to fix it. But once it's fixed, we're going to be putting it on rollers, and we'll be dedicating it at the second mountaintop service. So if you don't think we're planning ahead, We're always thinking of something else. And that one's incredible because it's made out of deer skin. And you rarely ever see it.
One of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. I can't wait until we
It's
get
50
to show it.
I'm sorry? There was an art dealer in Jerusalem who contacted me and said that he has this. I've only seen it in a museum. I saw one in a museum in London, and I repaired one from the Holocaust. But it's 55 sheets of deer skin, and it's brown, leathery. It's gorgeous. It's going to take a little bit of time to kind of put it back together, but by next summer, it's going to be incredible. We'll unroll it, put it on new rollers, and then we'll dedicate it on top of the mountain for the very first time.
We have.
Is it bound now, or is it in sheets?
It's in sheets, but they all have
It's
the
kind
thread.
of bound. It just needs to be
The thread, I bought the thread, which is made of sinew, which is the back calf muscle. So you have to buy a ball of that. And then the glue is made from melting down cow hoof into like a paste. And then you get these little, when you lift it, you want to make sure it's strong enough. There's like little Band-Aids. So I found one parchment guy, I don't know where he is, who sells deer parchment. So I have the deer parchment to glue together, and then Janet found where is he? He's in Minturn, who does leather work, and he's ordering a deer hide to make the cover that'll go over it. That's why we need a year. I mean, it's the second mountaintop. With the approval of Vail Resorts, it'll be the first weekend of August, as long as they say yes to us.
Are you doing all the work on your own, or are you looking for volunteers to follow your instructions?
No, it's kind of on my own, because there's 650,000 letters. So I have these goggles that I put down, and I leave Janet alone for most of the day. And then you have to go through every letter. And no two letters can touch, no two words can touch, and every word has to be spelled right. So you have to go through all 650,000 letters and spaces. David, you volunteering?
The Torah came from Yemen. Looks like they were Sephardi.
It is. It's a Sephardic written Torah.
The Torahs in the Sephardic synagogues that I've been are encased in a wood case, and when they read the Torah, it's not laying down on the shulchan, but it sits out just like this, and they read it just like I'm reading this.
Exactly. They'd be in a larger case standing
Yeah.
up.
We won't have ours enclosed in that way. Ours
Ours is going to roll.
Ours will roll out like an Ashkenazi Torah.
But this one's a little more complicated because it was written with a reed instead of a quill. I guess they didn't have a lot of geese in Yemen, but they have quills, and you still have to cut it the same way. And remarkably in great shape for as old as it is, the letters are still very black. It usually goes from black to brown to red to invisible. And there's a lot of holes and tears that I have to fix from the back side with deer hide to glue onto the back so it's done. So
Also, we have a lot of new members recently, including some families from Steamboat who have been coming every Sunday to Sunday school with us, and they would like to invite us all on October 16th. We're doing a family service in Steamboat on October 16th, so if you'd like to join us for that, please
someone
reach
said
out
that
and we'll get you the details.
they said we do a nice service. Why don't you take it on the road? So that's what we're doing. Okay, we will return to our prayer books. Page 60, we'll rise and join together Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shaveach l'adon hakol, latet gedula liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu k'gei haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chalkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, Lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, v'nemar v'haya Adonai, lemelech al kol haaretz, bayom hahu, yihyeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad.
At this moment, in memory of our loved ones who are no longer with us, we join hands in love and remembrance, for a link has been broken in the chain that bound us together, yet strong bonds of home and love hold us one to another. In solemn testimony to that unbroken faith which links the generations one to another, we call to mind those whose yahrzeit we observe this the month of October. Paul Bases, Albert Blum, Scott Deutschman, Leo Farber, James Farber, Carl Lewis Garland, Jerry Gart, Mark Goldberg, David Gordon, Yoram Gordon, Sophie Green, Louis Gubin, Pauline Guss, Nathan Heller, Dorothy Katz, Howard Kersner, Nancy Kidd, Shirley Kleinman, Michael Cohn, Lawrence Lacob, Max Levenstein, Marion Levy-Kay, Victoria Levine, Yitzchak Levy, Maurice Lipnick, Irving Robert Lipsky, Wayne Lustig, Bert Lynch, Shirley Lynch, Sarah Moskowitz, Lois Nickerman, Sophie Numeroff, Reba Papish, Madeline Parr, Harriet Pocker, Sandra Alperchik, Sylvia Polgar, Irving Press, Julius Presser, Stanley Resnick, Sarah Rice, Beatrice Vera Rosen, Nathan Rosenthal, Ernest Scheller Sr., Martha Scudders, Shirley Shane, Leonore Shapiro, Gerald Stein, Mary Jo Stern, Rose Stewart, Max Tenenbaum, Randy Waldbaum, and Judith Wetzer. And if anyone else is observing yahrzeit this month. Thank you. And we also extend our condolences to the Deutschman family and the loss of Michael Deutschman last week. His funeral was yesterday, and our condolences to the entire family. The Mourner's Kaddish can be found in our prayer books on page 64. Those who wish may join with me as we say, Yitzgadal v'yitzkadash shemei rabbah, v'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechal beit Yisrael, Bagalav izman kariv imramein. Yehei shmei rabba mevarach leolam omeomaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. Yitzadar v'yitzalev v'yitalal shemei dekudasha b'rechu. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Damiran b'yalma v'imramein. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imramein. Oseh shalom b'mramav, huyaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, amen. May be seated. We're always so pleased to have those who are watching us from Seacrest in San Diego, and we've gotten some nice notes, might be a little more critical, from Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. We'll see whether that ukulele stuff was good enough for our friends in Hawaii, and for all the others that are watching us at this service. We're so pleased to have them joining us. And Patrick, thank you. Thanks for putting this together for us. Are you doing a Hawaiian Adon Olam?
Yeah, it'll be like the regular Adon Olam, but on a ukulele.
Aloha.
We can do
Okay.
Adon Olam Asher.
Better not.
Adon Olam Asher Malach. B'terem kol yitzir nivra le'nasa v'chefsa kol azay melech shemo nikra Adon Olam ve'acharei kichlot hakol levado yimloch nara Adon Olam ve'hu haya ve'hu hoveh ve'hu yeh b'tifara Adon Olam Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem kol yitzir nivra le'nasa v'chefsa kol azay melech shemo nikra Adon Olam v'hu echad ve'ein sheni lehamshilo le'achbira Adon Olam v'li reshit v'li tachlit v'lo ha'oz v'ha'misra Adon Olam Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem kol yitzir nivra le'nasa v'chefsa kol azay melech shemo nikra Adon Olam Vehu Eli v'chai goali v'tzorchav li v'etzara adon olam Vehu nisi umanos li Benat kosi v'yom ekra adon olam Adon olam Asher malach V'terem kol Yitzir nivra li'et nasa B'chefso kol Zay melech shemo nikra adon olam Beyado apid ruchi Be'eti shan v'ya'ira adon olam Be'im ruchi geviati Adonai li v'lo ira adon olam Asher malach V'terem kol Yitzir nivra le'et nasa B'chefso kol Azay melech shemo nikra adon olam.
You want to say hello to your mother? Okay. Please rise for a closing blessing. Adonai oz li amo yitain, Adonai v'rechet amo v'shalom. May the Lord grant strength unto his people and bless all peoples with peace.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei puri hagafen l'chaim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon.
Shabbat shalom, and we have wine and challah outside so we don't make a mess for the 2 weddings and bar mitzvah tomorrow. We got strict instructions. Shabbat shalom. Oh, thank you. Oh, I love having it. So